Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 56, day 56 of Awakening to Ascension. And I am your host today, Janae, and I am joined by Alex and Marlene. Today's topic is the pituitary gland. And I think it's all just so beautifully tied and linked and aligned. And this podcast, the initial intention, because everything that we do has intention, is that it be an activation. So this is essentially a 90-day activation. The words that we speak hold frequency. We are channeling. So some of the messages that you hear are messages that you need to receive on that specific day you hear it. And we are also incorporating various practices. So these decrees, there's meditation practices, there's techniques and tips. This is essentially for you to activate. And the pituitary gland and all the topics that we've discussed up until this point is all aligned and synchronized. So I just want to reiterate that if you do resonate with anything that has been said in any of these episodes, if you have stories to share, if you have any insights, if you have any tips or techniques, remember this is a collective. We are a family and we are here to co-create and collaborate with one another. So any insights or support that you have to share will be seen by the collective, and in that it's going to grow and it's going to make the activation so much more powerful. So with that being said, we are now going to get into this topic. And just so that you are aware, the pituitary gland is basically the gland that allows everything to work in your body. So the importance and magnitude of this specific topic is, and if you did not know where the pituitary gland is, it is basically hidden inside a vault inside your brain. It is in the center hub. So if you had to draw a line from the bridge of your nose and from the center of your ears, where those 2 points meet is where the pituitary gland sits. So I'm going to hand it over to Marlene, and we are going to get straight into this topic.
Amazing. Thank you for that map. It's beautiful. So the pineal gland is also known as the seat of the soul. And there have been many books written, very many books written about the seat of the soul. And if we look at that, you can look at books by Gary Zukav, for one. So if we see what the pineal gland actually does, it makes melatonin, which then also feeds into our circadian rhythm, which is our sleep and wake process. The DMT is what we call the spirit molecule, which is actually a hallucinogenic, super powerful the whole thing that goes on in our brain. So the brain actually releases the DMT. There's a question about whether our brains can actually make DMT, and that is still out to the jury. Nobody has actually come up with a complete 100% answer. But what can happen is things like your holotropic breath work, your Wim Hof breath work, as well as also spending time in a dark room. Those things also help to release this hallucinogenic drug in our bodies. It is very much the same as when we do meditation. That is also a very powerful stimulant to actually release very small amounts into our bloodstream. So the DMT is like basically almost a temporary unplugging from that collective egregore and becoming more again of that sovereign being within ourselves, and then tapping into a very raw and unfiltered reality versus what everybody else out there is in a shared reality. Alex.
So thank you. I'm glad. So Janae was mentioning the pituitary gland, and then Marlene was mentioning the pineal gland. And I'm glad that they both brought this up because I often find myself getting confused between the two of them. So the pineal gland is the seat of the soul, like Marlene was saying. The pituitary gland is, like Janae was saying, a little bit further back. And that one, I'd be curious to hear what Marlene has to say about the pituitary gland. I know that she's got a lot of information on this. Marlene, would you be able to shed any light on the pituitary gland?
So really, Alex, thank you for asking. The pituitary is a very, very important part of our anatomy and physiology. And it is something that gets, it's a regulated thing where it's hormonal, and it's also, so you've got your happy hormones, you've got your adrenal glands in your body, which make your adrenaline. So your pituitary and your adrenals are very much connected. And I was once kind of like sitting in listening to a doctor, and he said to somebody, "Madam, when you got when God was giving out the happy hormones, you got a thimble full where other people get buckets full in their body." And honestly, your pituitary gland is that thing where we regulate how we feel, how we think, and what gives us the up and what gives us that down on a daily basis. And of course, everything that we do, our surroundings, the colors, anything that even smells, the scents that we have around us also tickle that pituitary gland. Honestly, it might be like right in the middle, as Janae was saying, but it picks up on absolutely everything. The pituitary also, because it is hormonal, has a lot to do with that what goes on in the chemical makeup of the body. So there we are then looking at what we eat, what we drink, what we are ingesting from the external, which gets absorbed into our body and then becomes the little switch. There's lots of little switches in our body, and the pituitary is one of those. And everything that we feed our body, mind, and spirit, then switches on and off with that pituitary. Janae.
Thanks so much. And, you know, Alex, I'm so glad you also mentioned just the two of us mentioning the two glands in coherence with one another, because what one can describe is that the pituitary gland is the feminine and the pineal gland is the masculine. And if these two are in harmony with one another, it's that humming frequency. If they are in harmony with one another, what actually starts to happen is there's a halo that is created around, it circulates around the brain. And once that halo is formed, that is when you are in a frequency of true ascension. So it's such a beautiful connection. And that's, you know, in the beginning I said that these topics are so intentional and they coincide and interweave with one another in such a way that makes you understand the biology as well as, you know, it's the physiology, it's the psyche, it's the energy, it's the spirituality, it's the religion, and it's all just interlinked with one another. So to go back to what Marlene was saying about it being the hormone, it releases hormones. The pituitary gland also releases the growth hormone, which is responsible for repair. So if your pituitary gland is releasing this hormone and you are in a state of not survival, but sovereignty, you can over time regenerate and reshape and repair yourself. If you look at the human body, I had a scratch. So I was gardening the other day. Oh, Marlene, when was I gardening? Because she phoned me and I was like, I'm in the garden.
Friday.
Friday. Okay. So if we're looking at real time now, so Friday, I'm in the garden and I'm in there. Hey, I'm pulling out weeds. I'm doing all sorts of things. And I got scratched on my arm, but quite badly, just unintentionally by a branch. And it was quite a scratch. And by the Sunday, it was gone. And that is what is so beautiful about the repairing of the body. And you will find when you are so in tune with your body, and Marlene is saying it's the food you eat, it's what we spoke about, what you consume, what you watch, what you do, who you're with. All these things play such vital roles because when you are that aligned and your frequencies are that attuned, that is where you are capable of so many things that you cannot even fathom. So I'm going to let Alex come in. He has something to add.
Yeah, I actually had a question. So I would like to check something that I've heard. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's very famous. He was talking about I think it was the pituitary gland and your cerebral spinal fluid as part of like a Kundalini awakening. And tell me if I'm thinking about if this is the pituitary gland or the pineal gland, where when you're doing your Kundalini breath work or exercises and you're able to like flex your abdomen and that's like flex your spine and all the muscles around your spine and it pushes your spinal fluid up into what I think is the pineal gland, which creates this like electrifying activation. I'm wondering if I'm hearing that properly. Do either of you have any information on if that's accurate or not?
So, Alex, Kundalini awakening it's the electricity charge that takes place in your body. It's when you plug in. It's when you truly plug in and you switch it on. And Kundalini isn't something that one should play with. It is highly powerful. And if you are not ready to receive that electric charge, it's not going to be received well with your body. So when you speak of that charge going up with the cerebral fluid, it is connected because you are essentially the mirror of earth. So your chakras are mirrors. So your root chakra is a mirror of roots. So if you are going to be having energy taken from earth, from roots, and you are sending it up, if you look at science and the tree and the plant, the stem is what sends and receives. So it's the same as the spine. The spine is sending and receiving as well. So it's receiving water, if you look at it from a tree point of view. So it's taking water from the roots and it's sending it up the stem, which is our spine, to the branches, which is here. And then what happens here is the branches create food. Then they create food and they send it straight back down so that it's just this beautiful cycle. So with the Kundalini awakening and the electric charge that takes place, it's so powerful that if done correctly, it can cause your human form to convulse because of the power of electricity surging through your cerebral cord. And if you are not doing this correctly, and if you do not have a facilitator doing it with you, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit, let's use the word upset, with individuals that are posting about Kundalini. Kundalini has been misused. The true essence and the true meaning of what Kundalini really is so powerful that you need to have somebody facilitate you through it. So I needed to make that quite a very important point for anybody who is practicing Kundalini at home. Please, please just be very mindful of what you are busy doing in your vessel. Marlene.
I would say, to explain that in a nutshell, is to say it's like 220 volts of electricity. If your circuit board is not wired correctly for that amount of electricity to go through the board, you will blow up the whole board. You literally blow up the entire circuitry system. And that is what you will do. I couldn't agree with you more. It is not something to be played with. It is not something that is, it's not a party trick. Let's put it that way. It's definitely not a party trick. It is something that you work on very conscientiously and very mindfully, and you have the utmost of respect for your Kundalini. And as that Kundalini rises, you have a change of heart and soul. And it builds little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit until your circuitry is ready to actually take that full surge of, as you say, the electricity, and that board ain't going to be blowing up at that stage. You're going to see incredible stars and connections that one cannot even explain. It's beyond explanation beautiful. But certainly it doesn't just happen overnight like anything else that we are speaking about on these podcasts. And it is mindful and consciously and intentionally focused. Janae.
Oh, thanks, Marlene. I think that visionary explanation can help anyone listening the severity that this topic truly is. And I would like to just explain another visual for you to understand that the pituitary gland is as small as a pea. That's how tiny this gland is. And its power that it holds is enormous. And that is something most of us are taking for granted. The magnitude and the miraculousness of this that we embody, and giving gratitude for it. I am most certain that majority of the listeners and viewers didn't even know what's been disclosed about the pituitary gland today and didn't know how small it was. It's even the miraculous unfolding of a baby. When you first have a child and you go for your 6-week scan, they are the size of a sesame seed. A sesame seed is absolutely, no, a poppy seed. Sorry, a poppy seed is even smaller than a sesame seed. A poppy seed. And every time you go and scan, these tiny little human beings are getting bigger and bigger, but they're still so little because it goes from a poppy seed to a sesame seed to like like, I can't even remember all the different, but it's amazing because then it goes from like an apple to a melon to a watermelon, and it's like, what is happening? So I think that we take for granted the life that we are able to experience. And these beautiful, I don't know, suits that we get to wear, and what's happening inside that we are unaware of. So I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for my suit, and I hope that you can see how grateful you should be for yours. Who cares? Who cares if your one earlobe is bigger than the other earlobe, or if your nose is like this? Who cares? What's important, is what's happening inside. And let me tell you, every single one of us are the exact same. Every single thing inside of us is the exact same. It may be different in size, but it's no different. And just to touch back before we wrap things up on the Kundalini, it will arrive when you are ready. Don't search for it. It's when you are aligned to receive a Kundalini awakening that it will appear. So don't force it, don't look for it, don't control it, and be in allowance with it. Yes, Alex.
Yes, I wanted to thank you both for describing that Kundalini experience. That sounds very similar to something that I've been through, with like the shaking, the vibrate, the convulsing. I felt so, it was, I mean, it wasn't just one occasion, it was a few where I could feel it going up my spine and then it would stop. Like, it usually stop right at the base of my skull, and I felt like I just needed to break through. But I also want to emphasize the point of don't try to force it. So for a lot of my awakening, I was trying to force it. I was asking people, I'm like, how do I have one? I really want one. I really want one. And I've talked to people that have tried forcing it themselves before. They're like, don't do it. Don't do it. I hurt my back for like a month doing it. And I was like, oh, wow. So yeah, it will happen when it's ready for you to happen to you. It's not something you need to force. Don't worry about it. It'll happen when it does. Just like awakenings, everyone's on their own unique path. It'll happen at different times for different people. It doesn't mean anyone's further along than anybody else. We're just taking different paths. And I'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you have any information about a Kundalini experience or the pituitary gland, please drop that in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.